Welcome, everybody. We are back with Bats and Stats. I am, as always, Brian at Brian59044 on Twitter, and my compadre, Ross R. Jensen. Here we are, and we are going to talk about some good stuff tonight. We do not have a guest, but that is on purpose. We don't have a guest because we have a lot of exciting stuff that is popping up on scoutthestatline.com. I'm going to kind of turn it over to Ross so he can kind of explain some of this stuff and show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. Before I do that, we got to do the one thing that we do in every podcast, and that's the beer of the pod. Beer of the pod, and I don't have anything new, but I will do mine again. Ross has got a new beer, and so Ross, go ahead and introduce your beer, my friend.
All right. We're still looking for that sponsor, so we got to be calling out all these beers until somebody comes knocking. Okay, so this beer is a specialty beer I picked up at the local co-op here. This is called Anadramas. It's a black sour with Marion berries from Anchorage Brewing Company. So I looked through quite a few beers when I was trying to pick out my one for this podcast. This one just kind of stuck with me. So I'm going to read the summary here and then I'll give it a pour. This is going to be another one of those funky ones that you probably are like, I don't know, why are you drinking that stuff? This is a black sour fermented in French oak foeders. I figured out how to pronounce that after last episode, with a Belgian yeast aged 1 year in Pinot Noir and whiskey barrels with Lactopetio and Brett, finished on Marion berries.
Nobody knows.
Naturally carbonated in the bottle. Yeah, it sounds pretty swanky, right? 9.5% alcohol, a little higher.
At least it's got that.
We're going to give this a shot, and I'll let you know what I think about it. But I do have a fascination with some of these barrel aged drinks. I just think that they bring out some interesting flavors. See, that's pretty
up a little bit. There we go. God, that's dark, man. God, it's dark.
But it's calling itself a black sour.
It looks like you're drinking maple syrup.
Well, I'm excited for this one. Okay. Ooh, yeah, that's got a good nose. Good nose. You can smell those Pinot Noir barrel aged Pinot Noir.
There's a lot of flavor in that beer. Yeah,
there's a lot of flavor in that beer. It comes across almost like a porter on the front, but there's definitely a middle back of the tongue that sour hits you with those Pinot Noir barrels. Is pretty interesting. I like it. I'm good.
I think I would drink that one, and I don't drink heavy beers at all. But that one looks just like there's a lot of flavor in that freaking thing. But it looks like maple syrup. It looks like it coats your whole mouth.
Yeah, well, we got a winner.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it one more time. I did it in the last podcast. This is Bridger Brewing, Lee Metcalf. I'm going to have two more tonight. And then I'm really shooting for this sponsor because this is my Friday night drink. I have to have some Silver Bullets, baby. Going to drink some Silver Bullets. And that's going to be our moneymaker. Coors Light, come call him.
Metcalf. I don't know. I like that name a lot. Maybe we need Bridger Brewing to reach out to us.
Maybe I should reach out to them.
Twice now that we're highlighting their beers. And
it's good. It's a really good beer. Yeah. Bridger Brewing Company, Lee Metcalf.
Lee Metcalf.
It's just really good beer. Yeah. But with that, with all that, obviously we love our beers. If you guys ever we've said it a couple times already, but if you guys ever want us to drink Rana beer, or if you want to send us beer, just let us know.
Yeah.
We'll drink it.
For sure.
Yeah. But with that, Ross, let's go ahead and jump into the site because there's a bunch of stuff going on the site. We obviously have a new logo that was brought to us by a really good friend of ours. It's kind of a family affair here at Scout the Statline. The intro music is made by our friend Josh.
He wrote it. He recorded it. He's the whole 9 yards on that thing, and pretty impressive. You're right. It's a family affair. We've had a lot of friends and family help out. Just we're bootstrapping this thing the best we can. So,
and then a huge shout out to our friend Sean that made the new logo, Scout the Statline and Bats and Stats. So the new logos are up.
We've got a lot of different people that have helped out in different capacities. So thank you to all the writers. Thank you to everybody that's helping out, and even the people that have just reached out of the blue and said, "Hey, check this out." I love that. That's the way that we push this thing forward. At the end of the day, this is a pretty community-driven project, and without everybody's help, it doesn't really stand up. So, I mean, and you too, Brian, you on the podcast side, we wouldn't have a podcast if it wasn't for you. So yeah, it applies to everybody. But we have so much stuff going on at Scout the Statline. I want to share some of the stuff that we've got going on, and this will be like some insight, especially to non-members that are interested in watching the podcast. You can get some insight into some of the value that being a member will bring to the table too. On Twitter, I can be kind of a lightning rod for, I don't know, making bold or outlandish or whatever strong statements. I think that sometimes ruffles people's feathers. Sometimes I get some backlash and some grief, and I just want to say, if you don't like what I have to say, that's great. That's fine. It's okay to disagree with me. I got a lot of strong opinions, and I'm throwing them out there. I hope if you're interested in our work that you can look past what I have to say and share and just look at the work itself, because there's a lot of really good research that is very independent of my biases and my opinions. So I want to throw that out there too. And I'll prove it to you. While I do use this information, this data a lot, it stands on its own as well. Okay, so I want to share the website, just specifically dive into some of the member content, especially the newer stuff that we've got, so people can see what it is that we're doing and what we're providing for people. So again, we've got like content coming out almost on a daily basis. We've got new articles. Always check those out, please. We've got some fantastic writers, very informative. We've got guys like Tom and Joe who are just really intelligent, and we've got guys like Ryan who are throwing out hilarious pieces that are also informative. Just a lot of different flavor and tastes of different viewpoints there. So I encourage everybody to check that stuff out. Free content. I'm scrolling right through the free content right now. I want to get into the member content. I think everybody that's listening to this probably understands that one of the differentiators here is that we're providing daily updates with all of our content. This spills over into a lot of the new boards. So the peak projections, they're updated every day. I'm doing that myself, and I'm pushing out these updates, making sure that it's done and it's in good shape. And so please check in daily. That's what I encourage everybody to do. That's how you really get the advantage. Player highlights, I'm trying to write one of these every single day of the week. Checking on that. I want to show some of these other boards. So the first one on here is the player evaluation board. Probably not a great name. Maybe we can come up with something better over time. But this lets you deep dive on each player within our leaderboards and get a snapshot of what the whole picture of that player really is from a Scout the Statline perspective. So we've got leaderboards. We've got our peak projections. We've got Bags leaderboards. We've got Diggs leaderboards. We've got prospect larceny formulated rankings. You can view all of those together on this one page with some different indicators and numbers indicating how well that they're doing. So that's really what this breaks down. So here's an example. I just opened it up. This is a standard page. You've got Jackson Holiday, our number one prospect, information about him, where he ranks on the different pages. Very informative stuff. His peak projections, scout grade equivalencies, what his rankings, formulated rankings actually turn out to be. And then you've got performance data down here. So you can see what his performance actually has been as well. So we've got that drop-down list. You can just pick who you want to take a deeper dive on. We got some user feedback that it would be nice to have this in a table format too. So we went ahead and built that out. So we have table formats of the same kind of, it's trying to accomplish the same sort of thing, not quite as in depth as that last page that we were looking at. It's not going to give you as much information, but it's going to give you the rankings of each of these different leaderboards that's hosted on Scout the Statline, and then their average ranking as well. And then on top of that, we're going to give you all the scout grade equivalencies over here. So just a real good snapshot view. We have that for pitching as well. We have a glossary even if you're curious about what some of these things mean. So a lot of different information that you can peruse and just get different insights in one location instead of having to go all over the place. Okay, the next one I want to show, I'm not gonna go in order up here. I'm gonna pop over to the formulated consensus prospect rankings. This is very similar to that last one that we were looking at, but this is a collaboration, and I want to share this. This is because this is some good stuff, especially for our members. PARS members also have access to this as well. But we've added in PARS list, which I think is a really fantastic formulated ranking as well. So he's somebody that we've partnered with to try to bring this to the forefront. I think it's fantastic. Just another layer. And if you're an STS member, you get to see some of what those PARS rankings are all about. I'd recommend everybody also consider becoming a patron of Rick with PARS lists as well, because he does great work. I've been a fan of his for a couple of years now. So same thing over here. You can pop over to the pitching side of it, and you'll get more of those formulated rankings with PARS included as well. All right, next on the list, I want to go to one of our newer tools that is the prospect call-up indicator. This one was created by one of our newer members, and that's Big Bob's Cards here. You can see up at the top here. And what this board is going to do is give you some insight on who is likely to be called up soon. So all of this stuff is color-coded. So you can see on the likeliness here, and it will break down in this key exactly what those things mean. Who is likely to see a call-up soon? And you've got your players listed. That could be the replacements. This is based on the production of those players. So if they're producing low WAR, they're going to be, according to this, more replaceable. The team is going to be looking for somebody new to fill in that spot. And who is that going to be? So just very informative. You've got notes here. This is updated on a regular basis. So I think this is a really cool, interesting tool, especially for those of you that are curious who's going to be the next person called up.
So basically just an insane amount of information created by real life people. And this isn't made up. This is based off numbers. This is based on everything that's coming out of the stats. This isn't personal opinions. This is based on stats, guys.
Yep. And there's one more. This is the newest one. And I think this one has the highest potential of all of these, because this is for a totally different group of people. Now, it's got some information that everybody is going to find useful, whether you're in fantasy or not. But if you are a card collector specifically, if you're in the hobby, this guy is going to be the tool. I am convinced that there's nothing else like this on the market. And I think this will help you beat the hobby market. If that's your game and you love card collecting, this is the thing that's going to help you get there. This was a collaboration between me, Bob Orban, again, the gentleman that helped create that last one, and then MLB Alchemist at MLB Alchemist. And they're both big in the hobby. So I think with their insights and then my ability to put these into good informative boards, we're able to work together to get something that's really, really helpful out there. So the idea behind this, again, this is a standard, it looks like a standard leaderboard just like the rest of them, right? But this is specific to card collections. So right now we've gone back and we've done all of 2023 Bowman releases, and we've done 2022 Bowman releases, both the draft and the Chrome release. So we've got all that information in there, and we're going to try to extend this back to 2019 the best we can as we get a little more sophisticated with our methods. But we have to be able to get good information out there, and we have to be able to keep it up to date, or else this is not going to be as helpful as we want it to be. So it's going to take a little bit of time before we can get back to that point. But this is a combination of STS rankings and card market information. So we've got on here listed what collection these players are from right here. You've got some basic information about the players, and then you've got their peak projections. Again, you get scout grade equivalencies color-coded so you can see from just a glance where their strengths are, maybe where their weaknesses are if they have any. And then you've got their projected peak statistical performance over here. Now, at the very end, this is where it gets really interesting. We've got the average market price of their first auto card. Average first auto price. And we've created what we're calling the buy-sell index on here. And the buy-sell index is a combination of their projected peak performance, what the numbers say that they're going to perform like when they're at their best, on average, and what the market thinks that their value is right now. So the ideal player in here is going to be somebody that is going under the radar for the market, at least from a price standpoint, but they're projecting to put up really big numbers when they reach their peak. That's the ideal player, and we think that this tool will help you sniff out those players that everybody else is looking for the best, but we think we can help you find it with this. And I really do not believe that there's anything else on the market quite like this. So I'll just run through an example of this using Carlos Jorge. He's somebody that projects really well with us. And he's not necessarily a small sample anymore. He's got 531 plate appearances. And he's projecting to be one of the better players in the league. Right now he comes in at third on our hitting leaderboards. So pretty incredible power, speed combination sort of player. The average price of his first auto is $48. That's what the average sale of his cards is going for right now, his first auto cards. So the buy-sell index is very high on him. So there's an opportunity with Carlos Jorge for you to pick up a bunch of those or pick up one of those cards and see how it does over time. If the projections work out like I think that they will in most instances, you've got yourself a pretty solid win right there.
So I want you guys to really understand that this isn't just a baseball card metric. Like this is a buy, sell, buy high on Carlos Jorge. Like it doesn't matter that we're talking about baseball cards.
I love that you said that because that is so true. This gets to the heart of what does the market think about that player. And that's a conundrum that I don't think we ever had the answer to before. Is when it comes to fantasy, and every league is a little bit different. Different leagues have different biases I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this right now. Different leagues have different biases, and sometimes it's pretty prevalent throughout the league, right? But in general, this is going to help indicate what do people actually think about this guy. If he's got an average card sell price that's really high, chances are, by and large, the market, people in general, really value this player. And vice versa, if it's really low, you can look at that and you could be like, wow, here's just an example. Chase Mydroth. He ranks pretty high on here. He projects pretty well. His cards, on average, his first auto is only $11. I've been comparing this guy to Dustin Pedroia, right? So people are either going to love that comparison or they're going to hate it, depending on probably whether or not they're a Red Sox fan. But if he does turn out to be like a Dustin Pedroia and you're getting his card for $11, or you're trading at him because you look at that and you say, wow, the buy-sell index on that guy is pretty high. I bet I can pick him up for pretty cheap. And then you end up with getting a Dustin Pedroia out of the whole thing. You're probably a happy camper, right?
I love it. I love the analogy between baseball card and selling in fantasy baseball, because that's what you're doing at the end of the day. Is you're selling and buying a player, and this is just putting a number index on it. I love it. I think it's going to be huge. I think it's big for Scout Statline, and what you said it at the very beginning. Nobody's got something like this. This is really cool and fun for different walks of life. Like there's a lot of baseball card guys, or just card guys in general, that don't do fantasy baseball, that this might pull them in just a little bit, and maybe that's creating a whole new market. So I love it. I think that's great.
I'm really excited about that tool. I'm glad you're excited about it too. I think it brings a lot to the table. I also think, I mean, beyond there just being nothing else quite like it, it's a potential game changer. I mean, it really is. Like, I wish I was deeper into card collecting. I'm kind of trying to get my toes a little wet in it, because I see there being an opportunity here. But this makes me want to do it more, just because I think that there's insane potential there.
It links it with me. That I think that's probably why I get excited about it. Is it brings fantasy baseball into card collecting, and then all of a sudden you see a dollar amount on it, and then it's something tangible, it's something real.
There is something that is speaking just in using that index. Like, you can identify easily who are good players that you could trade for, trade for on the cheap, probably on the cheap, based on general market feelings on that player, says a lot. Because what we found, and me talking with these two gentlemen that helped put this together, thank you guys so much, by the way. A lot of the opinions that drive fantasy drive the card realm too. And I don't know why. I presumed that they would be different. Like, there would be different markings. But in talking to these guys, it sounds almost the exact same. What these guys love is an extremely talented physical guy that they think can hit a ton of bombs and steal a ton of bases. Which, if you get those guys, like, yeah, you've hit a home run, so to speak.
Yeah.
But you don't want to ignore the guys that have the talents to be able to play in the major leagues every day and have a successful career. And that's where there's ample opportunity with something like Scout the Statline, and this tool is helping you sniff those guys out and making sure that you're on top of it before that. Like, one of the commentaries I made on Twitter recently, probably one of those that a lot of people didn't like, but it was kind of it was a commentary on people taking Byron Buxton over Mookie Betts. And this is just an example. Byron Buxton is a really talented player, so do not get me wrong. But he came in with all this hype surrounding him. You know, the super athlete. He's super fast. He hits the ball super hard. Mookie Betts was relatively ignored. He wasn't even ranked until that final year when he finally got the call up. And, you know, by and large, he was ranked in like the 70s, 80s, in top 100s. The guy was easily one of the best players in baseball within a couple of years. So those are the guys that I think that this can really help with. They get overlooked, they get ignored, but STS does not miss on those guys.
I'll say it again. I've said it for a long time. The best ability is availability. It's huge.
Yep. I like it.
Said that
All
when
right,
I
well,
was.
thank you for indulging me on that, because I did want to share some of what we've been doing. I got a lot of good work going on. And I also want to add to that, all that data, the underpinnings of Scout the Statline, that data is updated every day for the members. So it's fresh. It's the freshest data that you can possibly find. You should be checking in on that every single day because changes happen. You know, right now, the market pricing stuff isn't going to be on a daily basis. We're going to update it as regularly as we can, but there's some efforts that go into that at this point. So as we get better and more sophisticated, as I said, you know, they'll come in more frequently until we get it dialed in, and it's every day too.
Yeah, and my 2 cents on that is, guys, it's getting prettier every day. Like if you just start jumping into these scout grade equivalencies and all the charts and stuff like that, it's getting prettier every day, and it's very eye appealing. I've been on major websites for 10 years, and nothing looks this good. And we're just a couple. We're just a few guys, and this looks really, really good. So I encourage you guys to all jump in there and just take a look. Take a look at it, see what it looks like. I enjoy it, and I think it's one of the best websites that I've seen as far as scouting is concerned.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
but I would say it's not just a few guys. We have some of the best in the business too.
Well, yeah.
And I'm not talking about the Scout Statline stuff with that. Pitcher digs, prospect larceny, man, those guys. Pitcher digs, that guy is prolific, man. I want to take just a second to talk about him. He is putting out leaderboards for everything you can imagine. He just posted on Twitter the other day that he created some leaderboards for summer leagues, collegiate summer leagues. It's insane the amount of stuff that this guy has out there. And he's just constantly building on it.
And I want to apologize. I don't mean it as we're just a few guys. I mean, we're just.
I know what you mean.
You know, we're some average Joes. You know, we don't have some huge backing that is MLB behind us. We're just some guys that really love fantasy baseball, and we're making it look really, really nice.
We're fans, and we're believers in constant improvement.
And I think you and everybody else have already improved everything immensely, because like I said, 10 years ago, it was boring. It was plain. It was let's try to figure out how to win this thing. And now all of a sudden I have all these pretty charts. That's what I'm trying to say. That is what I'm trying to say.
I'll cheers to that.
With that, guys, you know, obviously we want to dive into some players, and I did want to give Ross a little bit of a piece of the show to showcase the website, because that's what it's all about, is the website, and it's important and it looks great. But now it's opinion time. It's opinion time, and we've teased for about 3 weeks, maybe about 4 weeks, of these 3 guys that Ross picked out. Like I said, this was we just kept mentioning him, and the podcast ran a little bit long. We just could never get to him. But before we can get to the three players that Ross wants to dive into, I have chosen one. I've chosen one that his name has been popping up quite a bit as of late. I was on him at least a year ago, maybe about a year and a half ago, and his name is Juan Bin Cho. Juan Bin Cho is with the Single A affiliate with the St. Louis Cardinals, and Juan Bin Cho had a slow start, but he signed this huge contract with the Cardinals to come from Korea over to the States. And he's from Seongnam Republic of Korea. I believe I'm saying that right. And when he first came over in 2022, he batted 211 with an on-base percentage of 400 and slugged 316. That was only 76 at bats. Hit one home run, but he walked 20 times and only struck out 27 times. This year, he got promoted to the Single A affiliate. He's got 146 at bats. He has 2 home runs, 6 doubles, 2 triples, has walked 26 times, struck out 33 times. His average is 281, on base 393, and has slugged 390. Now, I've watched all kinds of videos on Juan Bin, and it's a sweet swing. He's built like a 19-year-old. I mean, the muscle isn't there, but yeah, he can grow into it. He's only been stateside for a year and a half-ish. I'm hugely excited for Juan Bin, and I apologize that I didn't bring it up to you guys sooner, but it's been a year and a half at least that I've been all in on this guy. I've drafted him in multiple leagues. Do you have anything on Juan Bin?
I don't have much on him. I do think he has interesting plate discipline. I think that's probably the strength that pops to me on his looking through his performance data anyway. I'm curious, Brian, where did you come across Juan Bin Cho? Because I know that you've been in on him for a while, and I'm just kind of curious where that name came from to you, because he wasn't on my radar at the time that you were looking to pick him up.
Can I do it like a Will Ferrell meme? Can I do it? YouTube.
You looked him up. You looked him up on YouTube.
I came across on YouTube. And it was just like, really? Who is this guy? And they were like, yeah, he's going to get signed by the St. Louis Cardinals. And I started watching some videos, and he was just crushing stuff over in Korea. And not just batting practice. Like there were some games that I watched, and yeah, it's a loud swing. It's a really pretty swing. He's there. It's a different ball game, obviously, in Korea than it is over in the States. What would happen if he was in the high schools in the United States? I don't know, but it looked really, really good.
So I'll run through his Scout the Statline projections here, if you're cool with that.
Yeah.
He comes in ranked number 79 overall for hitters, which is pretty solid. Sounds pretty good. He's projecting for 13 home runs on average at peak and 19 stolen bases. 13% walk rate, 19% strikeout rate. Again, that plate discipline, which I think looks like the strength in his profile right now. Mm-hmm. Do you anticipate him to grow into more power? What are you thinking? What are you projecting for this guy in the future?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. He's only 6 foot. He is 6'1", and he's only 200 pounds right now. But he just got stateside, like I said, like a year and a half ago. You're going to get on the United States diet. You're going to get in the United States weightlifting program. I mean, he could turn into like a big bulky guy. just depending on what kind of program they have him on. But like he was just a baby when he came over at 18, 17 years old. I think the world's his oyster.
All right. Well, color me interested.
Yeah. I think the big thing about him is getting the United States in him. You know what I mean? Where he was young enough coming over. I have a tough time with some of these guys that are 26, 28 years old that have been playing in Japan or Korea or Australia or the Dominican, whatever you want to say that they're coming from. That's a huge culture change at a pretty later date in your life. Juan Binchu was only 17, maybe 18 when he came over, so he can grow into that culture change where an older fella coming over, that's got to be difficult. That's got to be really, really hard to do because you're set in your ways and you don't know the language, and you might not want to. You know what I mean?
Well, it doesn't seem to be hurting like Otani and Yoshida.
No,
Yoshida's doing really good.
Otani's a freak, right? Like we can come out and say that, like he's breaking everything that we can even think of. But that's got to be a struggle. It's going to be hard on your brain to do that kind of stuff. But Juan Bin is young enough. I think he can do it.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. All right. Interesting.
I'm all in though. He's going to be in Double A next year at 20 years old. It's going to be super exciting.
All right.
Okay, so now that I got my plug in there of somebody that I really wanted to talk about, Ross has got three guys he really wants to talk about, and his first one's really cool. And once again, I wanted to do this in the last podcast because we were talking about mustaches, but I kept the mustache. We're gonna do it again, and it's Wade Meckler.
So there's something about these guys. They all have these mustaches. I'm pretty sure it's like a throwback to Wade Boggs or something. Okay, but I want to start this by saying this is probably going to be a pretty unpopular set of player evaluations because nobody cares about these guys.
Oh, these guys are fun, man.
But if you have followed me at all, you know that I love guys like Luis Arraez. I think he's awesome. He's an old school contact first sort of player in the vein of Tony Gwynn, which I caught a lot of grief on the internet for mentioning Tony Gwynn's name. I guess I'm not really sure what the complaint was about what I had to say, but I was making some kind of comparisons between Arraez and Tony Gwynn and how they're treated by analysts today, or how Arraez is treated by analysts today. Just a little commentary, but these throwback guys, the old school contact first guys, you don't see a lot of them. You didn't even see a lot of them back in the day. You had like the Wade Boggs, and then you had Tony Gwynn. Well, there's three guys coming up that I'm interested in because I think that they fit this bill. And I'm on the lookout for the next prototype of this. I'm looking for the next prototype of Tony Gwynn, Wade Boggs, Luis Arraez. Maybe, do you throw Jeff McNeil in there? Maybe you could throw McNeil in there.
Easy. You're putting Jeff McNeil in Hall of Fame names. Okay.
Well, he's a contact first guy. He just won a batting title. Give him a break. He's got a couple of them.
Yeah, but come on.
He's maybe not quite in that same realm. But let's start with Wade Meckler of the San Francisco Giants. He's 23 years old, so he's a little bit older.
Yep.
But listen to this. Now he doesn't have a ton of plate appearances in his career, so the usual caveats apply. Beware of small samples. I'm saying this a lot recently. Wade Meckler has a career minor league batting average of 401. That's pretty cool. He's a 400 hitter through his career. Now, again, he's only got 214 plate appearances. He barely qualifies for Scout the Statline's rankings, but he does. He's on there. But let me walk through this. And Wade Meckler came out of Oregon State, and he was a pretty solid hitter there too, but he seems like he's really stepped it up in the minors. Some of this is probably because he's a refined hitter, and he has mostly been in the low minors, though he did get bumped up to Double-A. So 23 years old and Double-A is not that big of a deal.
Great.
Well, his first year last season, 2022, between rookie level and single A, he hit 367. He walked more than he struck out. He struck out in 16% of his plate appearances. Not a lot, but for a contact first guy, you could maybe say it's a little higher. It's not high. But he still walked more than he struck out. So pretty impressive. 500 OBP. Come on. Get out of here with that. This year, he started at high A. And I just got to read this to you, Brian. He was hitting 456 in high A. Nobody's talking about this guy. This guy gets no airtime. He gets no ink. Nobody's talking about Wade Meckler.
Nope.
Guy just hit 456 in high A. He got promoted to Double-A. He's played a little bit there. He's continuing to hit 333, only 27 plate appearances, small sample there. So he's hitting 427 overall in the year. He's injured right now, so he's out, but we'll see him back pretty soon. And I'm just so curious to see how well this carries through to the major leagues. This isn't a Von Brown situation where he's putting up these gaudy numbers. We don't know how it's going to translate, but he doesn't have the red flags that like a Von Brown has.
You know what?
Has kind of this questionable plate approach. Wade Meckler does not have that.
Yeah.
He's playing a contact game, and he looks like he can do it at a high level. I mean, if this guy comes in and he's a 330 hitter every year after hitting 400 in the minor leagues, is that terribly surprising?
I wouldn't be surprised. Anybody listening to this should not be surprised.
Yeah. I mean, anyone hitting 330 is a big deal, so don't get me wrong. But, I mean, we're talking about
what he does.
Off 70 points off his batting average from the minor leagues. Still,
yeah.
It's a drop-off, and it's still really good, you know? I'd love to see it. I am just waiting for that next Wade Boggs. And you know when Wade Boggs first made his professional appearance in the major leagues, you know how old he was? He was 24 years old. 24.
Good.
So if Wade Meckler comes up next year and he starts doing Wade Boggs things, are you going to be surprised?
Not if you're listening to this podcast, you won't be.
It'd be really cool. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen, but the numbers look really good. I'm interested in what I'm seeing, and I'd love to see that next Wade Boggs guy come up.
We've said it multiple times. Anything with your on base plus slugging, your OPS, anything above a 9, we're really excited. Okay. His career in 182 at bats is 1.041.
Yep. He's got to get some more plate appearances, right? We got to see how trustworthy.
Of course. Of course. But that's 182 at bats. That's enough. And we've seen Double-A, A+, Single A, and rookie level. Like we've seen the trajectory come through the loop here. Obviously, we need to see more, but he's got 17 doubles. Those can turn into home runs, no problem. 3 home runs, 37 RBIs, 29 walks, 27 strikeouts. This is exactly what Ross likes to see of. It's not the profile that I want to look at because I'm always looking for those huge counting stats and stuff like that. But Ross loves to see that walk to strikeout percentage.
Well,
Wade
I
Meckler.
just, like I
Yeah,
said, I love those type of players, and I want to see another one. I want to see him come up. I want to be on top of those guys just to be able
yeah.
to. I don't know. They're fun. I think they're old school. You don't see them that much these days. You look back at Wade Boggs's minor league career. I mean, Wade Meckler was arguably a better hitter right now than Wade Boggs was. Wade Boggs had some great he had some great plate discipline though. I
Yeah.
mean, walking
But
60 sometimes, only striking out 20 something. Contact skills were clearly there for him. So we'll see. I'd love to see it, but we got two more guys that could maybe fill those shoes too.
does Wade Meckler have a historical comp?
Well, let me check it out.
And
Uh,
if it says Wade
he,
Boggs, I'm just gonna turn it off right now.
he does not. He has no historical comp.
He doesn't. Oh, is it 200 at bats?
He has enough to qualify for one.
Okay.
He just
He just
doesn't
doesn't.
have one. There's no correlation. That's what that's saying. Very rarely do we get that.
So
Or
that means
there is a correlation. It's just not strong enough. There is a threshold
no.
that I've placed on there. So yeah, he doesn't pull one up. There's a few players that don't, and one of them is Jackson Holiday.
So Wade Meckler, go get him.
uh,
It's not going to cost you anything.
it's not going to cost you anything. If you're in a deep league, I think he's a good play. But I think most people are probably just watch him for now. If you were interested in a Luis Ariz caliber of player, a guy like Wade Meckler could be that. And that's what I want to throw out there. Put some visibility on that. But Luis Ariz in a lot of leagues is still not. He doesn't carry or command a ton of value. So I'm not gonna throw a full endorsement of like you got to get this guy. He's going to be probably a one category performer.
Yeah.
He's not going to hit many home runs. He's not going to steal any bases. He might score some runs because he's going to be on base a lot, potentially. But, you got to be in a deeper league to probably have a ton of interest in him right now.
Yeah. Okay. So current comp to Meckler, could he be a Brandon Nemo type, Brian Reynolds type?
I mean, Luis Ariz is going to be your closest.
That's gonna be your big one. Okay.
Yeah, Luis Ariz or Jeff McNeil. Jeff McNeil is maybe not a bad comp. I think Jeff McNeil probably has more power than Wade Meckler.
Okay.
Which is not.
Let's move on. Let's get these other two. Let's get these other two that we've been teasing for 3 weeks. So the next one we got is Nate Furman. Nate Furman is in high A affiliate with Cleveland Guardians. He's 21 years old. He's 5'8", 180 pounds. He was drafted in 2022 by the Guardians in round 4, pick 121 out of Charlotte. Did I mention that he was 21 years old? Yes, he is.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and talk about him, Ross. What do you think?
All right. So this one maybe commands more interest than Wade Meckler, even just because he's a little younger. So Wade Meckler's getting a little up there for prospect level ages, right? But Nate Furman's only 21. He's now in high A. He got a promotion from single A to high A. He's struggled a little bit since that promotion, which is something to monitor. But what he is bringing to the table is really good plate discipline. On the season, he's walking more than he's struck out by a pretty good margin. He's hitting the ball well, and he's got a pretty good track record of hitting the ball well. Going back to college and summer leagues, he's a hitter. He has 0 professional home runs. He has 0 home runs on the season, so not a lot of power, but he did hit some when he was in college, so there's maybe a little bit of power there. But he does have ample speed. He's got 29 stolen bases on the year already. You extrapolate that to a full season, that's what we're talking about, 60, 70 stolen bases. It's a lot of stolen bases. So a guy that potentially can hit for high average, get on base. His walk to strikeout ratio is quite a bit better than Meckler's, even, and he can steal a lot of bases. So that in itself is pretty interesting.
Unfortunately, he doesn't have the mustache that I've been talking about, so I am out. But Nate Furman does look really good, guys. Yeah, like Ross said, 290 average, on base percentage of 436, and it's stealing bags all over the place. Last one we got is Ignacio Alvarez. Ignacio Alvarez is 5'11", 190 pounds. He's 20 years old. He was drafted in 2022 by the Atlanta Braves in round 5, pick 155, out of Riverside, CCE, California. Ignacio has got some great stats.
He had some really good stats.
Yeah.
When we were first going to talk about him like a month ago. He's slumped a little since then, unfortunately, but he is by far the youngest of all the players that we're talking about, these 3 potential throwback guys. I think there's probably the greatest potential to develop power within Ignacio Alvarez compared to the other gentlemen, which makes him intriguing. But as of right now, there's not a lot of power and there's not a lot of speed. But he's got absolutely fantastic plate discipline for a 20-year-old in high A. And right now he's got 36 walks on the season, 36 strikeouts. He's only hitting 268 right now. So that's a problem. His OPS is only 742. You'd like that to be higher. But I think given his age level metrics, he's somebody that I'm pretty interested in at least watching to see how he develops. So I'm waiting to see with Ignacio Alvarez. He doesn't have the eye-popping numbers, but he has good numbers, and he's got the metrics that could indicate he could make some pretty big developmental strides.
No, that's what we're here for, and I get it. I can see when you first brought him up, I think he was batting like 350. Yeah. And this was like a month ago. It was like 350. His OPS was over 1,000. He was walking just insane amount,
like
striking out 0. Yeah,
yeah. He hit a slump.
Yeah, but even right now, it's 36 and 36 with walks and strikeouts. So it's 1-to-1, and he's got a bomb. He's got 7 doubles, 8 stolen bases. He's been caught 4 times, so a little bit high there. But he's a 20-year-old in high A. I think this is a big deal. I think you need to keep an eye out on what's going on, and that's what we're here for, to point these guys out.
Yep.
So Ignacio Alvarez, guys, just keep an eye out. Keep your ear to the wall. See if there's any rumbling going on. Maybe to the train tracks. Toot, toot.
Yep.
We got some fun guys in there. Got some fun guys tonight, guys.
Yeah.
So there it is. There it is, everyone. We're going to be back. We're going to be back real soon. We're going to have a guest. I'm hoping that we can have some higher I don't want to tease anything, but I want to say that I want to reach out to some people that maybe a player, maybe, something crazy. Get somebody out here on the podcast just to say hi. If I can get Ken Griffey Jr. out here, we all sub, because I'll do it.
Well, I'd wear my Mariners hat for that.
I'm just gonna wear my
Maybe I
Tigers
go
hat.
get
and
a.
be like,
Maybe I finally pony up and I get myself a Cincinnati Reds hat, and I wear that. And then I just, if he says he hates the Reds because things didn't go quite as he expected there, I could just switch him.
there you
Oh,
go.
sorry.
But guys, I hope you enjoy the podcast. We're gonna keep doing it, whether you like it or not, and we'll be back.